we're not about attraction, we're about seduction. Attraction is a one-time event to try to get somebody to engage. Seduction takes more time, but develops affinity, relationships, and really helps people understand what's in it for them, which is what's going to drive their decision. So that's how we got in this position.
But ultimately, like that conversion piece at the end, in order to get people to like actually make that commit and understand what's going to be different from joining different organizations versus ours.
Hi there, I'm Denise Chaffin, president of Top Source Talent, and this is our Talking TA with Top Source Talent podcast. And today I have with me Taylor Franco and Jim D'Amico from Holland America Princess. And I am so honored to have both of you. I met Jim and Taylor in Grapevine, Texas, in the first part of November at the TalentNet Live conference, and they hosted an amazing presentation talking about the hiring, especially the seasonal hiring for Holland America. And it was such an amazing presentation that you guys gave. So I'm honored that they are on our podcast today so we can talk to them further about how they hire and who they hire. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you guys. Taylor, if you want to go first, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about Holland America and what you guys do.
Sure, absolutely. So happy to be here today. Thanks for having us. So yes, at Holland America Princess, primarily the business that I support and Jim helps lead is our HAP business, which stands for Holland America Princess, but it is an Alaska land-based business. So basically, we hire about 4,000 seasonal workers every summer to come up and work, generally from the April to October timeframe, in a variety of hospitality-based roles. These are not roles that are on a ship. They are all based in either land restaurants or hotels or motor coach operations, rail operations, or maintenance operations. So it's a really exciting, fast-paced business, and we recruit year-round in order to make sure that we're staffed up for the season.
So I'm Jim D'Amico. I work with Taylor. I have been in the TA space for over 25 years now. Taylor and I both joined Holland America a little bit over a year ago. I oversee what's called shoreside staffing, which is all of our hiring that is not on a ship. So Alaska and then any other shoreside roles, which are like our corporate roles and things like that. So that's where I fit into the Holland America ecosphere.
Wow, amazing. Well, it's great to have both of you. Thank you. You mentioned too, Taylor, that a lot of your roles are seasonal. Give us a little bit more information around that. What is seasonal?
Yeah, so generally, for those of us that are familiar with Alaska, right, it's frozen a lot of the time of the year. So ships can only go up there during the summer. So essentially, when you might take a Holland America or Princess cruise, it's in the summer, you'll take it up to Whittier, and then you'll get off of the ship, and guests have an opportunity to do these land tours, right? So they're different from excursions that you might take when you're getting on and off of a ship during your duration of your journey. So when our guests get off of those Holland America Princess ships and they're going to do these land operations, these are all of the people that they'll encounter that work up there, all of our 4,000 employees. They generally work from that April to October timeframe. Some of them might work from April to July. It kind of depends and varies. There's different types of combinations. But again, most of this is the season exists because Alaska is beautiful in the summertime, right? It's glorious. The sun is shining. It's almost shining 24 hours a day. So we have 9 different lodges or hotels, which obviously have restaurants and maintenance operations. Our rail operations will take you all through Alaska and the Yukon via a glass dome, like luxury rail car. They're absolutely beautiful. I posted a picture recently on my LinkedIn. We got to go up there in August and see some of that operation. So these people are generally working all hours of the day, depending on the different types of roles, because some things need to be done, overnight in order to prep for the next day for things. But we have 300 different types of jobs that people work in the operations. But yes, it does run from April to October.
So when you talk about 300 different types of jobs, you mentioned a few of them a while ago. What are some of your best practices for recruiting for these jobs? Your outreach efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. So we do use a lot of IP targeting. So for those folks that are not familiar with IP targeting, opposed to this being cookies based, this is IP address based, right? So everyone has an IP address on their cell phone. So whenever they go to particular locations, we're able to target people and push advertisements to their phone via those devices, right? Opposed to the cookies settings. So venue replay is a really good way for us to be able to engage with people and to get their attention about the types of opportunities that we have. So if we miss a event or there's a certain time frame that we want to make sure that we're targeting back to, then we're able to do that through venue replay. And we do all of that through El Toro, which is the company that we use for that system. Yeah, so that's one of the ways that we do that, yeah. And Jim, I don't know if you wanted to add as well.
Yeah, I'll just say that the venue replay Taylor's mentioning about is a way of reverse IP targeting, essentially. So it's part of that whole process. And it's really critical to us. I'm sure people are aware that by the end of this year, Google will be doing away with tracking cookies within their browser. So that cookie-based tracking won't be as effective as it's been.
Wow, I did not know that. So now will this IP targeting then become more popular than it is now?
Hopefully it should. I mean, because it's not dependent on the cookies, and it's never been, which is why we've always found it so effective. Instead of managing the search by the cookies, which are often not great, which is why Google's getting rid of those, right? Like, if I buy a gift for my mom, it doesn't mean that I want to see ads for tennis bracelets forever. That doesn't resonate with me. So we control who it's going to, which is much better.
Very interesting. For all the years I have been recruiting, I have never heard of IP targeting or venue replay. So this is fascinating news to me to carry forward. I mean, because especially if we need to be dynamic in the way we do sourcing or recruiting, we need to know all these little tricks of the trade, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Now, so staying on that for just another second, is IP targeting and venue replay something that is probably more applicable to seasonal workers, or can anybody use it for full-time positions as well?
100%. So the way that I started using it, Denise, was when I used to be in healthcare to recruit nurses. But understand, and we used it at Celanese, where we recruited engineers, chemical plant operators. What it allows us to do is to put our ads on targeted Wi-Fi's, home addresses, things like that. So we're being very specific with the ads that we're sending. So if you're recruiting for nurses, what does a nurse do as soon as she or he is on break? They go to the break room and they get on their phone on the Wi-Fi, right? So I could push ads directly on that Wi-Fi. Also, it's great for things like college recruiting, military recruiting, where there's job fairs, because if I attend or if I don't attend a job fair, if I can't be there, I can do what Taylor had mentioned, which is venue replay, which I can get the IP information of every device that ping that Wi-Fi during that specific time of that event and push ads directly to their mobile devices.
Wow. Now, how did you get the information, though? I mean, because generally speaking, if you haven't attended a venue, they're not going to be so forthcoming, and that's been my experience anyway, in providing information.
So it's not about the venue; it's about their Wi-Fi. It's public information, and so that's what El Toro does. We will give them the venues and the dates, and they will pull that public information.
Wow.
Yeah, they do the legwork for us. So really, it's just you telling them the location, the dates, and then who all you would want to map those ads to. So you can also target to the people that not only were at that particular event at that day and time, but also other people that they live with inside of their homes. So it kind of gets a little like, you're kind of like, this sounds a little creepy, but it's completely legitimate, and it's very, very effective. And it's very inexpensive. So
how interesting. So going back to the people then that you're trying to attract, right, using this type of sourcing and recruiting, what percentage of the people that you hire do you hire utilizing this?
It's hard to quantify that because a call to action isn't always applying for a job. So one of the things that Taylor and I believe in, and we brought to Holland America with us, is a concept that we call peripheral recruiting. We actually, shout out to Taylor, but we won an Innovator Award for that last year. But what peripheral recruiting is often what we're doing is we've moved from just pure attraction is what we're trying to do to more of seduction, because we start interfacing with these folks oftentimes months and months in advance of actually their job starting. So we'll use IP targeting, not necessarily just to advertise their jobs, but we will use it to create awareness and affinity for our jobs. So most people don't even realize that they have these opportunities to go up and work in Alaska, right? And if they do, they think Alaska's cold all year. There's polar bears, all sorts of different misconceptions. So before we even start serving them up ads, we're going to start serving them up information that we just want them to cache away in their mind. So then when the ads do come up, or we're at an event, like we might use IP targeting in advance of an event we're attending or things like that, what we want them to do is the moment that they either see our ad or see us physically at the event is in the back of their head, we want them to think, "Hap, good."
That's nice. That's nice. That's great marketing, great branding. Great. What would you call it? Pre-branding, if you would.
Yes. Yeah. We've always called it peripheral recruiting. Feel free to come up with a better name for that. Never
exactly.
Been in love with that name.
Yeah. Now, what made you guys think of it? I mean, tell us how it came to be, how it came to pass that you even came up with this idea.
So as we looked at the state of talent acquisition over the last several years, and with COVID being this real anomaly of changing things, and as we came out of COVID, there were far more opportunities than there were people, and we're still in this world. So 10 years ago, if you had an ad and you had a job, you could do attraction, right? You could throw that out there and say, "Hey, we're hiring," and people would respond. Now they have a lot of opportunities. They also have a lot more communication throwing noise at them, and they can't differentiate between what's good and what's not. So we said, again, we're not about attraction, we're about seduction. Attraction is a one-time event to try to get somebody to engage. Seduction takes more time, but develops affinity, relationships, and really helps people understand what's in it for them, which is what's going to drive their decision. So that's how we got in this position. I'll let Taylor opine if she has any thoughts as well.
It's ultimately exactly what Jim said, but ultimately like that conversion piece at the end in order to get people to like actually make that commit and understand what's going to be different from joining different organizations versus ours.
So let's talk then about your job postings. When you're putting these postings out, how are you posting the ads? I mean, how do they stand out, if you would, once you get there, once you guys have gone, past that branding stage and you're ready to post these jobs and put them out there? Because I would imagine, like you were just talking about, there are other companies who are hiring too. So what do you guys do to make your ads stand out?
Sure. So it's really we have different personas that we target. And there's different segments within those personas, right, for the different jobs. So it's making sure that we understand who we're targeting at that particular time and place and what's important to them. So people that are in college might be interested, depending on the job, of course, could be interested in the location, right? Alaska is something that's unique. A lot of people that are in college at this time are of the Gen Z, so they're interested in adventure and like taking chances and risks, different from the millennial generation when they were more into the security and kind of safety rather. Also, the advancements for opportunities to grow into full-time positions or year-round positions, if you will. So it's, again, understanding the markets and understanding what's important to them. The other thing that's a really huge differentiator for Holland America Princess is that if people come up and work for us during the summer, they work for us for a full season, which technically equals 400 hours. So it's about 10 weeks at 40 hours a week. It's pretty easy to do, even if you are in college, because that break in the summer allows you to do that. They get to go on a free cruise anywhere in the world. So although they're not working on a cruise necessarily, so that's huge for us. We're able to advertise that and use it as a kind of a differentiator for us whenever we're trying to seduce people into viewing our jobs and our opportunities. Obviously, limited words, right? People are seeing these ads for a couple seconds. So making sure that those are standing out. El Toro will also give you the different types of sizes that are going to be generally easier to serve up on those different platforms. So you kind of create them in different sizes to make sure that you have them. You can do them with motion in order to make them stand out a little bit more as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Denise, I think one of the fundamental shifts that TA organizations need to make with their job postings is that historically job postings have been what we need as a company. What we need, the work that we expect you to do, right? What we say is we want to lead with what's in it for you as a candidate, because that's what every candidate wants to know. What's in it for me? So when you think about job advertising, look, a line cook is a line cook is a line cook, right? There's not a lot of difference between being a line cook at Chili's here in Texas or being a line cook at one of our restaurants at one of our Denali lodges, right? So the work is the same. So we don't need to tell a line cook what a line cook does. What we need to let them know, what we need to lead with is what is different from their workplace. So their office is going to be very different, or their kids is going to be very different, because every day when they wake up, they step out and there's the mountain. They are in the middle of some of the most beautiful places in the world.
What a draw.
Same job as Chili's, just different view.
Yeah, and going back to, Taylor mentioned that after 400 hours, these employees are eligible for a cruise. Now, how many of those, what percentage of those employees take advantage
About
of those?
30% take advantage of them. Yeah. So which is at first when I heard that, I was like, that's not really that many, but it depends, right? So with a lot of these people being in college, they don't necessarily have the time or the gaps. Some of them take them over the holiday breaks, which is great, or the next summer. But what happens is a lot of people end up coming back to us each summer. So we have about 40 to 50% of people that work with us that actually return year after year, which is incredibly exciting. So they're not generally taking the cruises during the summer per se, because they hopefully are coming back to work with us. But we do hire a lot of folks that are retired from other professions. And then a lot of times they are the ones that take advantage of those opportunities to go on a month-long cruise or a 6-week-long cruise in different areas. And we sail all over the world. So the only limitation is that you can't take the world cruise, which is generally 4 months or something. So that's the only limitation. It was a very, very tiny limitation. You can still go on a very lengthy cruise.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh. Now, like, and going back to, because this is like so fascinating, what a perk. I used to always admire Intel because they gave sabbaticals, right? Or they do.
Charles Schwab still does that. Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a few other companies now that have jumped up.
Yep, Cielo does that.
Yeah, and so I always thought that was kind of a cool perk. But a cruise, I mean, holy cow, that's amazing. So now, is that a lifelong benefit to them? Like you were just saying that they don't have time to do it as a student.
It's 1 year that they have to take it. Yes. Yep. So, but people know that right from the beginning. So they're understanding generally why they're taking the opportunity with us. Is it because of the location? Is it because of the benefit of the cruise? Is it because of the money and the position? Is it for the experience? Sometimes it's all of those things. Sometimes it's just one of those things. So it's a matter of what actually hooked them in the end. And then those that are able to take advantage of that.
Oh gosh, that's great. That's great. So talking about people too who transition into full-time roles, let's talk about that a bit, because I mean, what a great opportunity for everybody. It's kind of like doing internal mobility, if you would, right? And to some degree. So how do you then convert people then to full-time roles? I mean, how does that whole transition take place?
A lot of times that is generally organic, like many of those things are that take place. With hiring 4,000 seasonal workers, we have 160 roughly people that work year-round. So there's a significant difference in that. Most of the people that we do hire, though, are not looking for year-round positions because they are either, like I said, retired or they're in college and they're not looking for that at the time. For those that might be coming up on the end of their college journey and about to graduate, there are opportunities because generally we have people of that 160, we have people that are retiring or are moving on to other roles within the company or the organization. So once we move some people around and then it creates some of those vacancies. And that generally, we even still, our season ended at, in October last year, but we just had a retirement announcement yesterday. So these things create those opportunities. And then it could be like, well, Susie was working here in the summer last year. She was looking for a full-time opportunity. Let's move Carol up to this position. Susie can come in, right? Those things are happening generally organically as we post and people are already familiar. But we always want to hire people that have already worked for us and have some of that knowledge base because generally they're going to be up and running quickly, just as beneficial as returners are to us as an organization. So.
Well, and I would imagine that your retention rate is huge, is impressive. And because you are bringing people in who already know the company culture, the company services.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot of people in leadership positions within our business that have been here they started as bus drivers or they started as bussers,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
So
really?
yes,
That's
that are
fabulous.
working in director and VP type roles at this point. So it's really, really cool to see. They've been here for 25, 30 years. So those are really exciting things to have that institutional knowledge and to be able to grow the business.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is all the
right.
way up to our top leader in half.
Right.
He started as a driver guide, which is the tour bus driver.
And what is his role now?
He is the SVP that oversees all of our Alaska Yukon land operations. So he is the highest peak of that business.
That's great. And how long has he been with the company?
I think it's close to 30.
30 years? Yeah.
That is great. Oh my gosh. What a great success story. What other stories do you guys have?
Well, actually, this is interesting because Jim and I, when I was mentioning that we were on the train in Alaska this summer, one of the ladies that was our tour guide is in college and is about to graduate. And actually today, my notification just popped up to follow up with her because she was actually mentioning to us that working in talent acquisition for this company is like her dream job. And we were like, well, let's make it happen. Oddly enough, her name is also Taylor. So she's already like amazing. So it would be really cool to be able to. So it's just interesting that the people that we run into, right? And again, these are just conversations that you're having in passing or pointed conversations because we want to ask them about their experiences. The reason that I haven't talked to her in a while is because she was taking advantage of the cruise benefit and was on her journey. I think she was going to Antarctica. Anyways, we're excited to hopefully find an opportunity to have her work with us year round.
Yes.
That is great. That's a great story. I love it. And then I would imagine too that as some of the workers who are on the ships or whoever, since you're working with guests, right, who are coming in from all over, I can imagine some of the interaction and some of the opportunities that maybe some of the guests offer people who are working as seasonal workers. I mean, do you have any good stories there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're always having different conversations and things. It's very interesting to see the people that they run into and talk to or might see year after year because they might go to different locations and some of our people transfer to other locations. So those are really cool as well. Also, our guests fill out surveys, of course, after they take their land tours. And it's really cool to see them calling out people that actually made a difference for them on their journeys. Maybe it was a restaurant or could have been a difficult situation that they ran into where they might have needed, a little first aid kit or whatever it was. But our employees were able to help make that a better experience for them. So those are really fun to be able to see our employees really making a difference in their overall experience.
That's another thing where we position our vacancies as roles, not as jobs, right? The job of go back to prep cook, the job of prep cook is going to be chopping carrots, chopping onions, doing work like that. But the role is everyone in the hat business, their actual role is to help to enable our guests to have once-in-a-lifetime experiences, right? Things that they will never forget. So again, if you think of somebody that's working a hospitality role where they might be working at a static hotel, they're being told all the time, like, you're in housekeeping, your job's to spend 12 minutes in a room, flip a room, clean it. But our people, their job is to help enable this amazing experience for our guests, which is far more fulfilling.
Oh, no kidding. Oh my gosh, what a great opportunity. And listening to what you're talking about too, Jim, I mean, and Taylor, how many of your positions are in hospitality? I noticed on your website you had some that were for people that were medical even, and again, people who were working some technical roles. I noticed that you guys had open even engineering roles. So I would imagine that there's just a wide variety of positions open. So what are some of those other, I guess what percentage is hospitality and what are some of the other roles that you guys have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so over 50% of our positions are hospitality based. It could be in the restaurants or hotels side. And then the other segments are the maintenance, but we have maintenance for both our fleet vehicles. So our motor coaches, they need maintenance, but we also have maintenance inside of the hotels. But that's the maintenance for the hotels is not part of hospitality, it's part of maintenance. So we have that. And then we also have our rail operations. That one's a little tricky because we have hospitality operations inside of the rail, but it because there's food and beverage, but so some of them kind of overlap. So yeah, we have a lot of different areas. Basically, if you're interested in coming up to Alaska, we can help find an opportunity that probably would be right for you. So,
oh my gosh, this is amazing. And again, I think that the way you described your talent attraction practices is very innovative as well. One other question I have around that is with the type of recruiting that you've done, what is working best for you? How else are you, I guess, posting your positions, or how else are you advertising for candidate?
So we do a variety of things. It is not going to be a one size fits all for us. So within IP targeting, Venue Replay is the segment of that has been working best for us. We also do some old school type things. Actually, we have some bus ads going in certain areas. I was actually just looking at some of the QR code scans for those this morning. They're performing extremely well on some college campuses that heavily rely on those buses, and we've successfully recruited at those locations in the past. We also do some Craigslist and ads, and we do Cool Works as well, which is generally seasonal based hospitality roles. So we use some of those types of platforms. Social media as well is a good way for us to obviously engage with potentially new candidates, but also stay kind of in front of people that have worked for us in the past and to kind of stay top of mind for that. We'll also working on implementing Pivot CX, which is a texting platform for drip campaigns, so that people, particularly those that might have worked for us in the past seasons, we can make sure that we're staying in front of them in order to get them to do the desired action, which would be for them to reapply and get hired for that next season. But in addition to that, it's obviously important to make sure that we stay connected to the people that we have hired and committed to. So it could be returners, it could be college students, it could be people that have retired from other professions. So making sure that we're keeping them excited about the opportunity so that it's not out of sight, out of mind. They're what we call flight risks, right? If we make them offers in October, but they don't start until May, anything could happen, right? We live in a very distracted world now. So people are squirreled, like they're on to the next thing. They haven't thought about us in a minute. They haven't heard from us, right? And so these are good opportunities that we want to make sure, but to engage, continue to stay engaged with them and to get them prepared and to be excited about their upcoming journey.
Now, you just mentioned something called Cool Works. What is Cool Works?
Coolworks is it's a platform for hospitality-based type roles. So a lot of our food and beverage jobs go on there. People that are seasonal or nomadic in nature go on to those websites in order to search for jobs. So there are opportunities for us to post advertisements on there. We also do things on Work Camper News, which are people that live and work in the same location. They take their RVs to said location. So we have RV hookups. We actually did a podcast with Work Camper News a month or so ago. So there's a lot of different avenues that we kind of connect with people and attract people based on what's worked in the past, and then kind of pivot around to do some new things.
So now the Work Camper News, I know a couple who they live here in Arizona for part of the year, and then they live in Colorado part of the year. Have an RV park up there where they were parking, and they actually got their RV space for free because they would work a couple days a week.
That's right.
At the campground.
Exactly.
So
similar type things. Yeah, we're actually looking at changing some of those, because in the past it's been like $10 a day, or like it's still relatively inexpensive, but we're looking at some of the different things that we can do in order to make that attractive for people.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have innovative sourcing and recruitment methods I think I've heard about in a really long time. Seriously. Kudos to you.
Well,
and then Jim mentioned an award you guys just recently have. What was that award again?
We were iSIMS Talent Innovators last year, Taylor and I both, for the development of the peripheral recruitment concept.
In 2022, yes.
Wow, that is great. I didn't even know that they had such a thing. I mean, I'm learning so much. Okay, I am the student of teachers, right? I do. I learn so much from these podcasts, from the people that come on as guests. It's just amazing to me. Yeah.
I think this is an important story for other TA people to hear, that when we joined Holland America and joined to support HAP, that as an organization, those operations leaders that are year-round and really are part of our recruiting team and actually carry a lot of the process on themselves, like they knew that they had to do things different. And we brought in a lot of changes very quickly. And it was an incredibly supportive group to work with, because we helped spell out what our anticipated results were going to be, what we expected from this. We always practice fast failure. So if something's not working, we're not going to keep committing to it. And as Taylor mentioned, it's not a singular way to approach it. We're going to do a lot of different things, and we're going to measure effectiveness and continuously improve. And so that operations team, those hiring leaders, are just as much a part of the TA team as anyone else, and have been incredibly supportive and incredibly creative in helping us identify other avenues too. So that kind of partnership, we couldn't have done it without them.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear. It really is. And it's so important. It's such an important message. Yeah, I remember attending a LinkedIn conference several years ago, and they talked about the partnership between hiring teams and talent acquisition. And I think that goes a little sideways because it's just not enforced internally in big corporations. The talent acquisition team is seen as the cure-all, if you would, for any hiring issues or any recruitment issues that are going on, and as the sole responsible team for finding ways to hire people. But when you have the collaboration between the hiring teams, so at talent acquisition, it's a lot more successful. You guys, this has been a great podcast. It really has. I'm just honored to have you on here today and to hear your stories of success and to hear about just the innovative ways and manners in which you guys are recruiting and hiring. I hope that
absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. All right.